Today on the show, we talk about how an assassin reaches the means of the creed through the method of the Templars. Welcome to Lore Party, the podcast that explores the stories, characters, and universes behind some of our favorite video games. I'm Bruce.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are back together again for an Assassin's Creed episode.
Bwah, 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 bwah.
Thought we were gone,
What's up,
thought we were
guys?
done. No.
Yeah, we're coming back. There's too many games to go over here.
Way too many. We have kind of a goal. I don't know how. It's pretty lofty, but we're going to try and get through some of the past Assassin's Creed games before the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out.
Yeah, that means that I'm going to have to binge two massive games in what, like 2 months?
Yeah, I played them all, so I'm just kind of waiting on him to catch up.
Okay, so this is an episode, I'll say I binged this game. I bought this game.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Yes, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Sorry about that. I bought this game when it came out. I played 4 hours of it, and then the new Destiny expansion came out, and I was like, I don't want it anymore. I got really bored. And I decided that I wanted to. We watched the trailer for Valhalla, and I was so excited for it. So I was like, I'm gonna play Syndicate. I want to brush up. I want to catch up on all these games. So I binged this game in like a week, maybe like a week and a half. And I didn't necessarily 100% completion it, but I got real close. And I remember texting you throughout my entire process.
Yeah, that was a very
game.
interesting kind of thread of just your reactions to each sequence.
It was wild.
Yeah, Syndicate is a very interesting game because it Ubisoft takes kind of a different path than it usually has. And this one, you play as two separate characters, and they have the story go in some pretty interesting ways. And what we really wanted to talk about, like from who we super just kind of couldn't stop talking about, was Jacob Frye, one of the Frye twins in Assassin's Creed Syndicate and protagonist.
Yeah, I just remember texting you throughout the whole game, hating on Jacob.
I remember hated him.
Every mission where they forced me to play as Jacob was the worst thing ever. I may have fallen in love with Evie Frye. I'm just going to say that right away. Like, she's a lot like my own wife. So I was like, oh my God,
Aww.
I'm in love. She's so awesome. And then there's this asshole. And I'm like, how are you twins?
Everything that she isn't, he is. And that's kind of what we're going to kind of get into, because what we're trying to talk about today is how Jacob Frye doesn't really seem like your typical assassin. He seems like the things that he does, the things that he says, and the way that he gets things done are not very assassin-like. He's very reckless. He's just kind of there to just fuck shit up and then move on to the next thing. It's crazy. I like him as a character. Like, he's cheeky, he's entertaining. I could definitely see Colin Farrell playing him or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of reserve that hate that you have for him in my heart for Edward Kenway, who I think is just also a really shitty person and barely an assassin to begin with.
Looking back, doing all these episodes looking back, I definitely noticed that a lot of these assassins are assholes unless you're Ezio. So it's basically...
They're very reluctant to take on the creed.
Yeah. And so the reason why I geared more towards Evie Frye was she's really smart. She's, she understands the creed. And she really wants to follow it through. She understands the methods of the assassins.
To the
she
letter.
Likes the history.
Letter.
She's really... And she's deviated, because of Jacob and his, he'll...
his Jacobness.
Yeah, his Jacobness. Yeah. Well, he'll just like kind of suggest things to her, and she'll kind of think about it, and they'll banter back and forth. But then she sometimes will go through with it because the ends will lead to good like assassin ends, but necessarily the means don't always follow it. And that's kind of what we are going to talk about throughout this whole episode, specifically more about Jacob than Evie. But Evie is...
We'll have her as the comparison, as the stick.
Yeah. She's a good control model. How about that?
Exactly.
For this.
Yes.
But I would say that she definitely keeps him in check to a degree, grounded in the creed.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, but she's also kind of an enabler.
Yeah, but that's family crap.
Yeah, true.
So, okay, where do we begin here? So, first of all, Assassin's Creed Syndicate takes place in merry old London, England times, in Victorian era of London. So that's like 1863, I believe, where both...
steampunk era.
Yeah, so both Evie and Jacob are coming from a small town in England to just a completely, totally controlled Templar London. And, you have Starrick, who is the big bad Master Templar behind everything. And the twins just go to work almost just double-handedly sweeping up everything that the Templars built for the past decade. And, you just have Jacob Frye, who is just the reckless twin, and Evie, who is just so much more particular and just way cleaner about everything. And as we said before,
she brushes her teeth, I think.
Yeah, and Jacob passes out in a gutter after he's out in a night with the boys with whiskey in his mouth. So, yeah, basically Jacob is nothing like his sister. And he's just kind of a brute. And the first thing that we see him do when he gets to London is just like he sees that the Templars have this big old group of gangsters in a gang to keep their control on the streets. And he's like, oh, I can't wait to start a gang. It's going to be great. We're going to be called the Rooks, and we're going to do this, and we're going to beat up the other gang. And I think that was my first introduction of him. And I was just like, this guy's weird. It's just like, you don't, I really want to just talk for a second how we've gone through past assassins this point. Like you've had Ezio, you've had Altair, Connor, and they all seem, they have depth, varying degrees, but, overall they're motivated by justice and vengeance and, keeping with the creed and, helping their people and finding the balance of their lives. And then you got this chuckle fuck who's just
oh
here
God.
like he's just on a fucking field trip.
Like that. So in the beginning of the game, he like hijacks a train basically, and it's the magic school bus because that's how it feels. Everything is fucking wild.
He's just like, well, this is some fancy time to just beat people up. Time to do it now to the next thing.
That's the best insult ever. I'm keeping that chuckle. That's great. But yes, he is shit. I am going to, for all you Jacob Frye fans, I'm going to shit all over your dude, okay? I am going to hate on this guy a lot this episode.
I'm gonna try and defend him because I like his character as an assassin, though. I feel like this could only have happened because there are no assassins left in England.
You will get my positive list at the end with our wrap up. Other than that, I am going to just like figuratively eviscerate this dude.
So, let's see. Some points that we also have. We're trying to also just figure out as we're discussing this what he's better at, because what we're seeing here is that he is an assassin. He was brought up. His father, Ethan Frye, was an assassin, and he literally raised these kids, not specifically from birth. He did like educate them and give them the choice of like wanting to go into the, I guess, family business, but they were pretty much indoctrinated from a very young age to be assassins. But as you can see, there are some ways that he could have been a much better Templar, just with his set of skills. I think one of the biggest things that kind of always stuck with me was Jacob's small subplot where he was going to go like try and hit Steric where it hurts in his pockets, and then met a woman named Pearl Attaway and like stole stuff for her and destroyed Steric's company stuff and beat up his thugs and took his products, only to figure out that she was also a Templar, number one. Number two, and she was Steric's, what was it, cousin?
Yep.
And then when he just figured that out, he's just like, bugger all. It's
Jacob just thinks like he uses a lot of ethos in his mind. He doesn't think logically. He's very into just like, he'll meet somebody and he'll have a beer with them and he instantly trusts them. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, he doesn't hide in plain sight. He's just in plain sight. That's exactly just what he does.
He's never like, really like if he ever hides behind anyone, it's his gang and his gang of rooks, and he's not really. He'll attack you from the rooftops, but like it's almost at every turn he just wants to be known, be seen, and kind of gain power like the Templars. He then just figures out, okay, well, I guess I'll just kill her now. She is the enemy. And he doesn't really like think about it. There's a lot of times where we have assassins who are like, wait, but we had overarching goals. Why do we have to do this?
We had chemistry.
Yeah.
That even would work. Like
Jacob, like he hesitates for a moment and he's like, right, gotta kill her. Let's go. He's just on it, and it just makes no sense. It's very weird because it does not seem like he's in it for the creed, but that's the only thing that he's kind of moving towards, you know?
Yeah, I feel like his decision-making process, and I'll get into this later as well as we continue, but like his decision-making process in terms of the creed, I don't necessarily think he's taking the creed into account when he's making his decisions, as if in the point where I mean, like, he's not doing it for the creed. It's more like, how can I use the creed to justify my decisions?
Yeah. And that's really all he does. And it feels like it's a game to him where he's just like, I'm an assassin because I'm not going to let those Templar nerds have all the cool stuff.
Oh, he definitely thinks it's a game. Because he constantly, like, talks about it like it is. Every little jab or some, like, you know, you'll be walking around a crowd or something, and he'll say things that make it feel like he's having fun. Like, I'm gonna make this into a game to enjoy it more. Like, he does, like, whereas Evie's like, okay, I have to go figure out this thing. How am I gonna go find that guy? Okay, he's up there. So and like, she is an assassin.
She is a great assassin. And I get, like, you know, they're fraternal twins. They're going to be diametrically opposed on pretty much everything. But like where she is a great assassin, he just keeps failing and failing. And it's not just Attaway. We also have another Templar where he goes to I hate this one. It's so I love it, but I hate it. Jacob meets with Maxwell Roth, who is like the gang leader of the Templars gang, which they're called the Blighters, and they just hit it off so well. They become amazing friends. They work together because Maxwell Roth is just like, you know what? Fuck it, man. Fuck Steric. We're just gonna fuck up his shit. Let's just do it. Let's go crazy,
blow up
man.
some buildings, man. Yeah, let's go.
Let's just do it. And Jacob's all for it. He's like, yeah, I like this guy. And I think Maxwell Roth is the perfect Templar for him to. I think this is probably when he starts to see just maybe at least a mirror reflection of himself, because
oh yeah,
Maxwell Roth is completely unhinged. He is, leader of this very dangerous crime syndicate that works for this shady, over-encompassed world domination organization.
Mm-hmm.
And he just doesn't give a shit. He also thinks it's a game. He also finds fun and entertainment in just manipulation and intimidation and destruction. And for a while, Jacob is okay with that. He's fine with that because he's just like, this is just the Templar and assassin stuff. Now maybe I'll get him on my side, and then we can, be able to run the ball to the goal because that's what we do, right? And then as we see, Maxwell Roth goes off the fucking deep end and starts like killing innocent people. And Jacob finally knows, the fucking tenets of the creed, stay your blade of the innocent. And he's like, whoa, let's not do all that, right? And Roth just fucking loses it. Roth is actually like mentally unstable. He may be the biggest sociopath I've ever seen.
But the thing is, like, he doesn't necessarily, I don't think he mimics emotions. It's hard to pinpoint what this guy has.
It's really hard.
Because he's so loud. Like,
he's very loud.
If I think about his personality and just the way, like, his emotions, it's just a very loud
individual
character. Yeah, just in all facets, like the way he dresses, all these things. It's just very like, I'm here, hello. Rah!
Hey,
like,
guess
that's
what?
Him.
Guess what? We just said that about Jacob.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you telling me that if Jacob was born into a Templar family, this would basically be him? Holy shit! Like, I'm like,
it's just so you can see it. It feels like the writers did this it's so intentionally to say, yeah, Jacob is super going to be a good Templar if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So like we see Roth is like, all right, well, I'm going to fill this, theater filled with innocent people and set it on fire.
Well, first it was also the kids, because he also tried to kill kids, and that's the big one.
The kids.
When he didn't give a shit about, because I mean, okay, like I said, this guy's loud. He's blowing shit up. That's how loud he is, guys. He blows up like a factory, or not a factory. It's like a flower house or something weird, like some weird thing that has explosives already in it. I think it was like paper or ink, and this is the catalyst that starts where Jacob's like, "Hold the fuck up."
I don't think I want to hang out with you anymore.
There are kids in there. You can't do that. You can blow up all these other buildings with people in it, but there are children in there. And he's like, I don't give a shit. Who cares? Like, there's plenty of kids to go around everywhere else. There's just like 5 or 12 that you're going to have to probably save on some shitty quest for this mission. But yeah, there you go. And that's when Jacob's like, I don't like you anymore.
And that's really his biggest arc there, where he's just like, oh, maybe I do need to give a shit a little bit more about, the lives and the balance that we're working towards. And I think that's what it was meant to be, but it just didn't go anywhere.
It's like when a character looks into like a pond or something and they're having like this weird like issue internally, or like when they have they show a mirror in cinematography. You'll see a mirror and you'll see a specific character in the mirror, and that's supposed to symbolize like that they're having an internal struggle within themselves, and you see a different face and you're like, I don't like what I see. Like, that's basically this moment.
Pretty much. And it really just placates to Jacob's character that this is like almost a Disney children's cartoon level of introspection that he has to reach to figure out, hey, maybe I'm being an asshole right now.
Yeah, I think maybe he also is not drunk anymore, so that might help.
Maybe.
All right, we're going to keep this conversation going, but first, a quick break.
Beyond the stars, an ancient secret beckons. Armies clash and fight for dominance, unaware of the part they are playing in cosmic destiny. Among the chaos, one soldier, the Master Chief, stands for hope and becomes a beacon for all humanity. Hello, I'm Connor, a regular producer here on Lore Party. Join me and my co-host Jaden as we explore the world of Halo. Come with us as we jump into the intricate stories behind the games, explore the many thrilling adventures that take place throughout the setting, dissect the ethical quandaries that arise during futuristic interstellar conflict, and much more. To find our series, simply search for Halo in your Lore Party feed. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the great journey.
So, like, time after time, we're seeing this. This is some of Jacob's greatest, like, allies and, you know, supporting characters in his whole, like, arc in this entire game. And it's not with allied assassins. Evie's mostly working with Henry Green, and he's mostly either working by himself with his sister, where he's, like, you know, undermining her and being just an annoying little brother. And then there's just him working just almost exclusively with Templars and getting along with them really, really well. It really just starts to, I don't know, it just spells out so much for me of just like, he's not that great of an assassin.
No. And the thing is, like, when he, like, for instance, the whole, like, theater thing, like, that was an art piece? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, who are you hanging out with, dude?
Yeah, it's
Come
art.
on.
It's fun.
That's
It's here. It's loud.
Yeah. Like I said, his decision-making process on, like, I hate to sound like my parents, but it's like, look, who you hang out with is a reflection of yourself. Like, thanks, Mom.
You know
but
what?
Like, holy shit, you're right. Like,
you know what?
Whoa.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, his decisions that he makes, like, post killing these people is almost even worse. Like, he kills Attaway.
Well, I'm never
right?
going to do that again.
Yeah,
It's pretty much
he kills
his thing.
He kills Attaway, though, and then replaces her capitalistic, like, corporate control thing just with another one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna do it. I don't like what you were doing.
I don't know.
I'm gonna do it too.
Exactly. He's just like, all right, so now that I've replaced you with someone else, we'll have more assassin points.
He doesn't think ahead.
He doesn't. He's just this one-man wrecking crew. He's just like, I'm going to knock that shit down, and I'm going to replace it with my own thing. I'm going to knock down the Blighters, and I'm going to replace it with the Rooks. I'm going to knock down Attaway's competition thing, and I'm going to have my own thing. It's always replacing the same thing. He's never fixing it. He's breaking it down and putting his own Jacob sticker on it.
Hey, Bruce, I'm going to let you copy my homework. Just make sure you do it a little differently so the teacher doesn't notice that you copied.
Cool. Yeah, I'll just put like a little assassin symbol on it. Like, you have a Templar one, I'll just like erase that and put that.
He is the walking meme. That is him.
This brings us to our next point. Why? Why is Jacob like this? This is so infuriating, but you're trying to figure out, like, what's going on. So I super implore anyone to look at I think I got it wrong the first time, Underworld, the Assassin's Creed novel tie-in. It goes so much more in depth with the events leading up to it. It goes into also Ethan, who is kind of like the mentor to Henry Green, where he is talking to his kids, and he's like, you see a younger Jacob and a younger Evie, and Ethan criticizes Jacob for not taking the education of the Creed more seriously. Big fucking surprise, but he was not really that into learning about the Creed when he was a kid. And he mostly took to, what did they say? In the book, he took to combat like a fish took to water. He was super into, fighting with the blade and, figuring out how best to take down an enemy. But like, that's really just been his MO since day one. He's just like, I want to fight. I want to do cool stuff. I don't want to learn about this. I don't want to learn why we are assassins.
he's in it for the destruction aspect and like the flashiness or like the, I don't want to say the killing, but like he kind of is, because I know like we're not going to get really crazy into the Jack the Ripper stuff, but like he kind of like I remember I played the Jack the Ripper thing as well. I know you did, and I saw that character as well as like him expelling, like he almost expels his bad decision-making process and his growth. See, guys, I'm giving you some good stuff about Jacob. He expels his bad decision-making, right? He gets rid of these negative qualities to a degree, but then they almost get like personified in another person. And like, that's how I saw it when I was playing the Jack the Ripper stuff. I was like, you know, he set up this gang network already that was already there, ready to go to like help destroy London. But then like all these negative things he puts into somebody else almost. And then he has to fight like himself in the Jack the Ripper stuff again. Does that make sense?
Yes. So yeah, and like in the DLC we have like the reason Jack the Ripper, the most notorious serial killer in the world, come to fruition because of, first of all, an institution that was knocked down and then held back up, rebuilt, and fortified by Jacob. He was raised by Jacob to be an assassin. And then, though I'm not going to put all the blame on him because apparently Jack, the lad as he was previously known before being the Ripper, saw a lot of his, saw his mother hurt and murdered, and like, got a lot of...
The guy was a mess. The guy was like a mental mess.
Exactly. But you know what really would not have helped being anywhere near Jacob?
Well, yeah. And okay, so like, it seems... Okay, so like, from what you're... Okay, so I didn't read this book, but I know you said some stuff about like how he's kind of like pressured by his dad, because throughout the story in the game, you know, they're always talking about their dad. Their dad this, their dad that, you know. And it seems like Evie is very into her dad in terms of like she idolizes him. She wants to be like him. She's following in his footsteps. Jacob's like, fuck dad. I don't want to have anything to do with him. Yeah, he's dead. Like, I see, look where he got, you know, like I'm doing stuff my way. And I feel like he resents his dad a lot. And so like when he's kind of training Jack or the boy, whatever his name was, the lad or something, like I just feel like
daddy issues.
Daddy issues, man. Like I think that's part of the whole problem why he lashes out and like doesn't want to have anything to do with Evie's decision making process stuff. Like he's got daddy issues.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I feel like that's the only thing he's doing right as an assassin, because almost all the assassins have daddy issues that we've seen.
Well,
play.
Yeah, that's definitely. Well, I mean, yes, we had a whole family of daddy issues worth of games. So yes, they all have daddy issues. I'd say the only one that doesn't was Ezio, because the guy was like, "I love you, Dad," and then his dad died, and he was like,
"That was the issue."
That was the issue right there. Yeah, okay. But it seems like Jacob, since growing up with like his sister, also the other thing is like Evie seems to have been like better than him.
So in the book, it's not really talked about because like they're almost like supporting people at this, like supporting characters in the book.
Yeah.
They are just kind of mentioned, you know, once or twice, and they're, you know, trying to eavesdrop on their dad, but like it's just mostly Ethan kind of nagging Jacob, saying like, you don't understand the creed. You need to get that shit fixed. But like Evie is obviously just a model student. She knows so much. She's read everything. She wasn't too much into the combat. She knows how to hold herself in a fight, but she was more interested in the pieces of Eden and everything. And that's how an assassin should operate.
Let me tell you, she kicks ass with a cane. It is like, I remember when I first played like the combat stuff with her, she kicked ass, and I was so impressed. And I was like, okay, I'm playing as her the whole time. And that's the thing, in the game, they constantly touch upon this. They're constantly talking about how I don't necessarily, I don't want to say he says this, but I distinctly remember a conversation where they're like yelling at each other, which is like almost every other one, but they're arguing, and he says something about like, yeah, like he says something about how like, you know, she was basically dad's like favorite kid, like model student, like you were everything dad wanted. You idolized him. You're trying to be like him. You still are. You're still trying to fight these like these ancient ones. You're still trying to find all their artifacts and whatever. Like, we are here now. We're in London. Shit's going down. Like, focus on this shit. Who gives a crap about dad's fantasy bullshit? Like, he's very much the opposite of everything what his dad wanted.
And I think that's kind of his rebelliousness. He just seems very, at his core, he just feels so immature. It feels like he's not ready to take on any of these responsibilities. It doesn't feel like he's taking any of this seriously. It doesn't seem like he's understanding the real scope and the real like risk that runs with fighting this endless multi-generational war that so many others have fought and died for. So we talked a lot about Jacob, and I still like him. I still like him as a character. As a person, I would not want to meet him. As like, I feel like I can say that for a lot of assassins that we have talked about. They're really cool, but like they've got a lot of shit going on. So
yeah,
want to take a wide berth on that. But to me, personally, Jacob Frye's actions show that he had the potential to be something else. It just feels like he's almost fighting against his own instincts or his own destiny to be something else other than a Templar. And he seems much better at just dismantling, destroying Templar infrastructures, but not burning it to the ground or replacing it with something else. He does not build on those destructive actions. He just either replaces who's in charge of those things, or he destroys them outright completely. So either creates a power vacuum, or he just continues an abusive infrastructure that was there with more of the sole purpose of domination and destruction and control, not for liberation and for the people.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with everything you just said. But I would also add the fact that I think Jacob uses I said it earlier, I think Jacob uses the creed as a way like to justify his decision making rather than he's going with the creed. I think he has a decision. He's like, well, would the creed like emphasize this? Would the creed be okay with this? How can I manipulate the creed to make this work? I see him as throughout the whole game. He is continuously using Templar methods, tactics against the Templars while simultaneously kind of becoming one almost. He's also just a shitty assassin in the sense that like, when you take over, like when you beat the shit out of or kill the other gang leaders and stuff, and you take over their territory, there's nothing. You're taking over territory. Fuck it, like that's control. That's the whole thing. Is like his whole concept of gang stuff. It's all control, and that is, you're a Templar, bro. Like, sorry, like you ain't fucking doing it right. Okay, well that about wraps it up. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode, so if you did, please take a second to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us grow the show, and be sure to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter at lore_party. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next time. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode, so if you did, please take a second and rate and review us on... Well, that about wraps it up. Fuck. Hold on. High energy. I gotta lower my energy.